Welcome back. Okay, so you'll notice I did a few things while we were away. The first thing I did was because my quantities now go up to 25, I needed to add 25 down here to my quantity axis. So I did that first. Then I used the original price with the new quantity demanded numbers to give me these points. Okay, I made these kind of like blue so you can tell the difference. So what essentially has gone on is that this original demand curve, this black line, it doesn't exist anymore. Now, oftentimes we leave it on our drawings just to show people what the demand used to be. But for the sake of making sure you understand what happened here, I'm going to erase it and just leave the new one. And I think that'll help clarify exactly what's going on. So this original demand curve, bye-bye, you don't exist anymore because I won the lottery and I am now a wealthier man. So what are we left with? Well, we are left with a new demand curve with the original supply. So what that means is that, before when the equilibrium price used to be $2, well, that's no longer the equilibrium price, at least it shouldn't be, because if the price was still left at $2, well, then look at what happens. There would be a problem. There's a mismatch at that price because I'm going to hit the supply curve at this point, and if you go down to quantity, you see that's still 15 chicken nuggets. So McDonald's at a price of $2 is still going to only make 15 chicken nuggets. But at that same price, I now demand like 20 or something like that. Yeah, I demand 20. So I'm not going to get enough. So that's a shortage. So to overcome that shortage, because McDonald's is going to sell out, they're not going to have enough chicken nuggets for me. What McDonald's ought to do is they need to raise their price a little bit to adjust for this change in demand. The question is, how much should they raise it to? Well, they can experiment. They can try 3, but that'd be too much. I wouldn't buy very many anymore. So hopefully they will eventually zero in on where these lines cross, which is obviously the new equilibrium point. And if you take this and you go straight over to your price axis, you see it lines up basically between $2 and $3. And we have a number, a price between $2 and $3, and that price is $2.50. So at a price of $2.50, we would again find equilibrium. So let's recap what just happened. We had an original demand curve, which is I've erased, and an original supply curve. And in that situation, the perfect price was $2. But then my demand shifted, it increased. And once it increased, it made sense for McDonald's to raise the price of chicken nuggets because my demand had changed. So if that's a little weird, let me just simplify it for you. Imagine a situation where there's a product where there's a certain demand for it. People are kind of like so-so, but then all of a sudden people really, really want it. It makes sense that businesses who sell that product should jump on board and be like, hey, people really want our product now. Let's make some extra money. Let's raise the price. That's how businesses respond in reaction to an increase in demand. At the same time, if demand decreased for a product, well, then all of a sudden, you can imagine a situation maybe where people used to like something, they used to pay a lot of money for it, but now demand has kind of cooled down. It means that it doesn't make sense for a business to keep the price of that product very high. If they don't want to have extra on their shelves, they need to lower that price because people aren't as excited about it anymore. That's why every time, for instance, there's a new iPhone that comes out, the old iPhones have their prices start to drop because demand for the old ones decreases because there's a new one that people like to buy. Now that's just demand shifting. There's a whole other thing we could talk about with supply shifts, and it's not that complicated. So if supply shifts to the right, what you will see is that it will cross a demand curve at a lower point, right? And that lower point would be a lower price. So again, imagine that there's a product, it's very rare, originally very hard to find, price is very high, but now for some reason it's easy to get a hold of. It's not so rare anymore. That means that it's easier to find, people are going to pay less money for it, and the price should naturally drop. On the other side of the spectrum, maybe a supply curve would shift to the left. If it shifts to the left, that means it's harder to find. That product is more rare. And when you find it, that's a special thing. It will become more valuable and the price will rise. I hope some of this made sense. But to encourage you to make sure it's really in your brain, here's what we're going to do next. This is the end of this video, but now you need to get out the note sheet that we used in class yesterday. It looks like this piece of paper, okay? You need to take this and you need to flip it over onto the back. And on the back, there are all these big blanks and everything. In the Canvas assignment that you used to find this video, you need to click the next link, and it's going to open up a Google Slides presentation. And I want you to go through that presentation at your own pace. And as you do, fill in the back of yesterday's note sheet. And if you don't have this, ask the sub. I'm sure she or he or whoever it is will have an extra copy that you can borrow, okay? That's it, everybody. Once you're done with the slideshow, there is a Canvas quiz, so just keep following the steps in the Canvas assignment, and I hope everything goes well today. I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.